Understand that we have 1 million battle casualties from the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. 1 million young men and women who answered our nation's call and who are today living misery. They are committing suicide at the rate of 22 a day, which means we have lost more to suicide than we have to enemy fire. I see on a daily basis additional people like police officers, firefighters, victims of crime. We have literally 500,000 people brain injured to the point they go to the hospital every single year. There are millions who are living with brain injury unnecessarily. We see it in workers' comp. We see it in falls. We see it in motor vehicle accidents. And we can help all of those people. The key therapies we're using, the core therapies we're using, such as hyperbaric oxygen therapy, are known to rebuild the brain. We've been treating with hyperbaric oxygen for brain injury for 77 years. Since 1937, that's a long time. We did 1,742 treatments after we got our new chambers open that you see behind me from May 27th to July 10th. That's 40 treatments on average every day. We do have in the background 5 more chambers ready to come online, and then we'll be at 120 treatments a day at that point. Characteristically, when people come in for treatment the very first time, these combat vets, they'll oftentimes have a very set jaw. They'll be holding it together. They'll have an underlying anger. They aren't sleeping well because of the nightmares. They aren't sleeping well because of issues with body pain. And as we start treating them, those things correct reasonably quickly. Usually the first treatment, they start having sleep improvement. If they have photophobia, that starts improving. By the 5th treatment, their headaches are under control. By the 10th treatment, they can sleep through the night. A very significant grief release and PTSD relief as well. We also use very good nutritional supplements here and counsel everybody to do so that we have the building blocks people need to rebuild that neural structure. If you look at any of the SPECT brain images on our websites, you'll see what we're talking about with restructuring the brain. It actually comes back, grows back in, and recovers in a way that hasn't been shown in any other technologies. We know from 25 years of clinical experience in hyperbaric medicine that 80 hyperbaric treatments is a complete reset of the brain. We can take 100 homeless vets, young vets, living over at the transitional housing unit, for example, like we're going to be doing in Lawton, and we can treat them, and 50% of those are going to be able to go back to work after 40 hyperbaric treatments. 80% of them are going to be able to go back to work at 80 hyperbaric treatments. And yet, when we add these additional technologies that we have combined together here at Patriot Clinics, we will enhance that number. We also improve performance. So, for example, with the first 40 hyperbaric treatments, you get 15 IQ points back. That's the difference between a high school dropout and a college graduate. 15 IQ points equates to $20,000 a year in income. So, one of the things that impressed me when I was in DC about hyperbaric oxygen therapy itself is if it was fully implemented in our medical system costs would be reduced by a minimum of 20%. But what really surprised me when I started getting into the numbers is realize that I was in charge of every single program that the federal government has for brain injury under my jurisdiction. Every one. I knew how much every program cost, how many people there were involved in that program, and by the way, I'm including going to jail in that, because 61% of everybody in county jail has an untreated brain injury. So if we actually began as a society to treat these people as we are here at Patriot Clinics, we would be able to reduce the prison system in about 10 years by 50%. That's significant. We would be able to reduce disability in Social Security by, again, about 50%. So the impact we have on people is significant. How about nursing homes? I treat World War II vets here. Guess where a lot of them are today? They're in nursing homes. They don't know who their families are. And yet when we start treating them, as we did with our vet from that landed on Iwo Jima, he couldn't speak when he came in. And today he's carrying on a conversation with me about Eleanor Roosevelt. That's really a surprise. And even for me that see it on a daily basis, I see the improvements that happen, the change in gait, the change in the way they walk, the way they move, being able to restore these veterans from Vietnam, from World War II and Korea that have challenges still after all these years, giving them some peace, and as they put it, putting them at ease. You see, we have two basic positions in the Army and the military. You're either at attention or you're at ease. And these men and women have been at attention for a very long time.
Is that because the parasympathetic got locked up in the fight or flight area?
Yeah, if the parasympathetic gets locked up in flight or fight, it really has to be relaxed. And because of the therapies we use here, that takes place. At this time, we have been asked to come to a number of military bases and start putting in the Patriot Clinics there, because we are reaching more people than anybody else in the nation just here in Oklahoma City.
What is the one thing that you're lacking that you would like to see come into existence to offer other people?
Here at Patriot Clinics in Oklahoma City, I literally have to raise $20,000 every month to keep the clinic open. For that $20,000, we are doing about $400,000 worth of hyperbaric treatment, just the hyperbaric part. And that is the least expensive hyperbaric treatment in the nation. As I mentioned, we had Fort Huachuca, we had Fort Hood, and we had Fort Benning, Georgia, all call me within this last week and want us to set up Patriot Clinics there. We've been able to demonstrate to the veteran community how it improves these veterans' lives. We've been able to reduce their pain, their disability, and literally many of them have not needed their disability payment anymore or been able to go back to work. One of the funniest ones was I had a younger man, he was about 40, he had a stroke, came in, he kept saying, I don't see a difference, I don't see a difference. I kept seeing the change in his gait, the change in his attitude. One day he comes in and he says, I need to change my schedule. I said, really, what happened? He says, I went back to work for the first time in 5 years. I said, okay, now is it different? He said, yeah, now it's different. Because we were able to get him to the point he could be gainfully employed again, give him his skills back. And that is almost indescribable when you see the transformation in these people's lives. So, if you want to make a difference, if you want to change our healthcare system from a managed care system that only worries about your symptoms to an effective care system where we actually treat the things that are wrong with people so that they can go back to full functionality, support the Patriot Clinics. Even $10 a month buys 2.5 doses of oxygen for some veteran.
And in terms of value on the open market, what would 2 sessions normally cost anywhere else?
A hyperbaric session is rated at the Medicare cost of $321 a treatment.
So what you're saying is that $10 it would buy $642 worth of treatments?
It does.
That's because you are offering that to the veterans at no charge.
That's correct. We don't charge anyone for hyperbaric oxygen therapy at Patriot Clinics.
I'd say that's a good return on my investment.
It is.